Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, Creative Unique Treasures. I'm Trisha, and this is an upcycling channel. And what I'm doing today is I'm going to make some appliques. And I thought I'd take you along and show you the process of the way I do them right now. There's all kinds of different ways to do them, but this is how I've been doing them. I found that it's very easy and it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. Like, this is my first one, so it's not as good as the second one. But this is a butterfly, if you can't tell. And what I did was I cut one piece of material out on the back, and then I just put some different pieces of material and stitched it to my top or to the bottom piece. You know, different pieces, little pieces, and filled it in. So that's this one, and I wanted like a gray and black and cream colored, so that one, that's how that turned out. That was my first one, so I'm not exceptionally proud of it, but I'm glad that I had that process. Sometimes you just have to start. And then this is the second one, so this one turned out a little bit better in my opinion. I ended up adding, this is the back of it, this is the main material, and then I added some different pieces of material. Let me go ahead and put it down on the table, and then you can see it better. So I'll go ahead and lower this right here. Sorry about that. Let me get that. I'm going to go ahead and drop you down onto the table. One second. Okay, so I went ahead and this is the back of it. Of course, you have one, this is like a tapestry. And then I went ahead and I added little pieces of material for the wings, and that one there, and there's one underneath, and then there's this side of the wing. And then I took some yarn and I went ahead and made the body, and I braided the yarn, and I left a little bit at the top for the, I guess for the, like the antennas. I think they got antennas, and then I just left a little tail at the bottom. So that one turned out really cute. And I would like to make some more butterflies, but in a different type of form. So I have different papers that I have printed up of different animals, birds, butterflies, owls. And what I do is, how I started is I end up going and I download some printable pictures, like from kind of like from clip art, different things. Like I have different ones. These I want to do another bird, so these are the choices that I have, and I'm going to do another butterfly. So like I have different printables. Like this is like a whimsical, crazy looking bird sucking on a straw on a wine glass. Then there's this one here. I like this one really well. Like do like a collage patchwork applique. That's what I'm going to try to do. And here's an owl, a little funky owl. And here's a bigger picture of a bird that would be a lot simpler on a branch with a few leaves. And here's a crazy looking bird. Anyway, so and I do have this one that I just drew up, a very simple. It's just going to be 1, 2, 3 wings, and then the body. So that one would be very simple for someone to start out with. So what I did was I just drew this butterfly on a piece of paper. And my next thing that I would be doing is I would take my, like a sketchbook paper, type paper, and I would lay it on top of there. And you may not be able to see, but I can see because I drew out, I outlined it with a marker. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I will trace. There's the body. There's the wings, or the antennas, and then here's the wings. Just kind of go out like this, and like this. Just a rough sketch. And then the next step you will do is I will cut these each of these out separately. So let me go ahead and grab a pair of scissors and do that. Okay, now I'll go ahead and I'll cut each piece out. Like this will be the, of course this is the body. You just fit it together like a puzzle. I'm just showing you the simple one, and I'll show you a little bit more difficult one, in my opinion. You may not think it's even one bit difficult, just a little bit more challenging. I want to thank you all for joining me and subscribing and hanging out with me. Let me know in the comments what you're working on. So like, I got that all done. Now the next thing I need to know is I need to decide what my backing material will be, and then the backing, and then the pieces, the 3-piece. Then this will be the top, and I need 4 different materials, or you could do a couple different materials. It just all depends on what you like. So I'll go and check out what I got and come back and show you what I picked out. Okay, the next thing I need to do, I have the pieces. I have my pieces here. And like that. So I have 4 different pieces, but I do need this piece right here, the main base of the pattern. So I'm going to cut that out. Just like so. Set this aside. This aside. Here's my 4 pieces. Here's my material. I'm going to turn this over so like that. do have some weights. Like that. I'll put them on there. Instead of using pins for paper, it's kind of hard. And I will get my sewing scissors. And I'm going to cut this around. Put my glasses on instead of leaving them sitting on the table. Let me cut a little smaller piece of fabric out. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to cut these out. I don't like to use my fabric scissors on paper, so I guess I'm going to have to go like this. Get some of this paper off. There we go. It's a little bit better. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut I actually could have just drawn out this pattern, which I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to show you a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and get close to the line. And then just trace this onto the back of my material. Sorry about that. I was showing you one way you could do it. You could do it that way, but to me it's more harder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this onto the back of the material, this pattern, with a Sharpie. Or you could use tailor's chalk or an invisible pen, which I do have that too, but for some reason I always run to my Sharpie. So I'll just go ahead and do this like this. This is kind of more like the, this is the back of my material. Just like that. And then put the top on. And I have it pretty much the outline of it. And I'll just cut it out. One thing about tapestry, I find that it really unravels, doesn't it? So I like to use it for backing. So I'll get this all cut out. Alright. Turn it around. Maybe I did this wrong, didn't I? Did I do it wrong? I guess I did. I guess it goes like this or this. I guess it goes like this. So I guess that will be okay. Okay, so it's going like this on the opposite side. So then this will be the back. So that will be better. I think that's how I didn't do that on my butterfly. I used the front. So let's see, maybe I don't want it like this. Maybe I made a boo-boo. Let me see. So with my other material, I'll just have to make sure that I pretty much go all the way to the edge. Because on my butterfly, if I can show you, I do have a little bit of the border of the other material. So, lesson learned. Lesson learned, do it the opposite way, so that way you can have a border of the tapestry on the bottom. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to go like this and make my pieces just a little bit bigger, unless I want to see that, and which will be fine. It won't be pretty, but it'll be okay. So if I do end up having a little of that overlapping, but then there is the marker. I think I'll just make these a little bit bigger and then maybe make a little bit smaller pieces inside of it to make it more of a layered look. So that's what I'll have to do with this one. Okay, let me go pick out my fabric. Okay, I'm going to take my machine and I'm just going to sew these all on there. I'm using a straight stitch. I'm going to go a little bit larger on my stitch. I'm just going to go slow and try to stay as close to the edge as I can. And I'm going to do a straight stitch, so here we go. I'm going to get this all sewed on. Just go slow. I got white thread just because that's what I got in there, and it's a nice contrast. If you wanted to have the invisible thread, then you wouldn't see anything. But I like the contrast, so. And I want these to be kind of shabby chic. I think that's a word. Go over a little bit more because there we go. So I'm going to get this sewed on and I'll come back and show you. Okay, I got everything stitched around, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I cut out these like not perfect circles, you know, and I laid them down on there. And then I'm just going to go to my machine and stitch them on. I got, you know, 3 on each, 2 and 3. I'm just going to do a straight stitch and go, kind of go like, you know, just go on in circles. So that's what I'm going to do there. So I'll go to my machine, straight stitch, use the white thread, and not be perfect about it, just kind of maybe do some squiggly lines and like that. So I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, here it is so far. I did some funky stitching, And I did some zigzag and some squiggly lines here and a squiggly line. I wasn't perfect, of course not. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pinking shears and I'm going to, let me back up a little bit so I can get it in focus here. There we go. So I'm going to take my pinking shears and I'm going to go around the edges right now with my pinking shears and do like a cute little edge. So here we go. Just to make it like that around the edge. And I'm going to do that all the way around the whole thing. I'll come back and show you. Alright, here's the butterfly so far. And I wanted to come on here and show you, I'm doing a whip stitch. I think that's what it's called. Where I'm taking the black embroidery thread and I'm doing it by hand stitching. And I found that when you do this, it strengthens the material. So you're adding more threads to the material. And so I'm sure you all know how to thread your needle. I have to use the gadget with the little wire on it, so it makes it a lot faster. They're really cheap. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you. Just give me a second. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them. I got this one at where was I? I think I was maybe at Myers or something. I think it was at Myers. But I got this one. And it's got the little wire. And so it helps you thread it. They're called needle threaders. So I find this very handy for me. My eyes are not young anymore. I'm 62, I think. Yeah. Okay, anyway, so I thought I'd do a whip stitch around. So I've been doing it, you know, I did it around there and around there and around. So I just go in, start in the back, and then I just go, it's very simple. You can do a blanket stitch too, but this one's a lot more easier and faster for me. So you just go in and you kind of go diagonally a little bit and just let your thread come through, but don't pull it too hard and so it'll break. But you know, it's very simple and easy. It just adds a little bit. You could do it any color. I was thinking about doing like pinks or creams, but I thought, well, black will show up a lot better. So I just want to pop on and show you that, and that's what I'm doing. I was going to do this butterfly maybe a couple more layers maybe, but I think that once I add this, it'll be enough for me, and maybe I'll go around here too, around the circles. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, so I got my butterfly done. Let me get it in frame here. And I ended up going around, all the way around all the circles with a whip stitch with black embroidery thread. Just to bring that out. And this one's done. And then we got, of course, we got my first one that kind of turned out a little funky, but I like it. And then this one was after that, and I used the braid with the yarn, and I stitched it on in different spots using contrasting thread so you could see it. So that one, and I ended up having different pieces, added some roses, made it more of a collage. Now I'm going to go ahead and do these two. This is my pattern for my next butterfly. I'm going to collect my materials. And this is another pattern that I decided to cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll come back and show you. Okay, we're going to start our next butterfly. I have this piece of material that I'm going to use for the bottom, the base of our butterfly, which is like this piece of that one. We need something a little bit like a tapestry, a little bit. So I got this on the back side of the material, and I'm going to trace it with, you can use your chalk, Taylor's chalk, or your erasable pencil, but I tend to, if I'm working on the back of a piece of material, I just use the marker, the permanent marker. I'm going to go a little bit bigger if I can. So just kind of trace it out. Go there. Go ahead and cut that out. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and do a base piece of material. Trace that around. Okay, get that cut out. This is the good side. So, and I'll just go ahead and cut on that line. You can use your pinking shears too. That's kind of nice to put a nice little edge. And I probably will go around and do that. Probably should get them out over here, because that makes it look cuter. Get my iron out. Iron that down. So that's how that's looking. Let me go ahead and get this side, this one over here done. Okay, get this marked out. Okay. It's kind of slippery. I'm going to make these and I'm going to put these on like a collage on maybe a jacket. That's what I got plans for. You can make these and sell them. I mean, I haven't sold any, but I like to sell them in my at my business, in my booth at the farmhouse. So there's that one. I thought I'd do this material on top. I don't know if I got cut out enough piece for that. I do want to go smaller with it, so I think I'll be okay. So, yeah. So if I go right on the pattern line, try not to move it around. Okay. Okay. see how that one looks. Yeah, I think I'm going to take and I'll go to my iron, get my little iron these two pieces down, and get the crease out of there. And then I'm going to take my pinking shears and go around this and make that a, you know, the zigzaggy, whatever the, you know, the pinking shear edge. And then I'm going to sew these two, this to this, and this to this. And I'll come back and show you. Okay, I got the second or the second or third butterfly. I don't know, I lost count, but I sewed this around. This is, of course, the backing, and I sewed this piece on top to start my collage. And I have a little bit different kind of material. This is kind of, it's from a, like a kind of like a tapestry material. So I'm going to put that on the bottom wings. I think I'll switch it around like this, like that. And I found this from a jacket. It has that that fringy, fur, like not fur, but fringe, like wispy threads on there. I think I'll put that on this side. I'm going to go like this, I think. And then I got another piece of that. It's more plainer. It just has the ribbon. I'll put this on here. Maybe I'll switch these two around. There, that's a little bit better. So I'm going to go and sew that on straight stitch. And then we'll go from there. I got different pieces that I can just keep, you know, adding, you know, just different. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just one step at a time. Okay, I have, this is kind of out of the video type thing, but I do have all my butterflies. And I'll show you them, what they look like so far. I mean, here's the first one. I want to add more to this one. And here's the sideways butterfly. And here's this one. I need to add some more to this, the middle. I need to make the body. And here's this one here. I need to add more to this. This one's done. This one has the body and the yarn. I used and braided the body and then sewed it on there across like that in 5 different areas. Okay, so there's that. And now I kind of go off onto another area. I like to do, when I do appliques, I got something on there. So let me see. I don't want this to get on my applique. This is a piece of cotton with a face, of course, and she's got some fun earrings, and she's got her. Let me see if I can get this right head on. But I've been embellishing her with flowers on her hair, on the top of her head, and little different pieces of flowers. I did some zigzagging right here, and I'm not really liking that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add more flowers going down. This is her hair, of course, and she has earrings, and she has like a really cute polka dotted shirt on. Excuse me. But I have some different pieces of fabric that I'm going to just kind of put all around through here. And I'm adding, cutting out some pieces. I'm going to add some more to cover up this white. And so I'm just going to take this to my machine and just stitch it on. Kind of like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing to this side here on the white. Just kind of add, this is like an old jacket. It's an old jacket that I have that I've been cutting up. So I'm just going to add some more to go down that way. And then I'm gonna use this for an applique. There's my microwave. I'm gonna use this for an applique on maybe a back of the shirt and just add more stuff all around her. I thought she was really cute. So that's what I've been doing. And I'm gonna come back and I'll show you what I'm gonna add to the butterflies, and we'll wrap this video up. This is gonna be a kind of a long one. I hope that you stick around. So thanks for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, I appreciate it. It doesn't cost nothing to subscribe, and it helps my channel out. And I hope you have a blessed day. I'll be seeing you. So I got these, I'm going to pin these on. I can pin that one into there. I have black thread in my sewing machine right now. And I have this piece that I'll put about right there. Let's kind of cut some of this black away. Maybe cut a little bit of that pink away right there. And then I want to piece in right there some more, so I think I'll pin this on so it doesn't leave where I wanted it to be. Okay. And then this one has a little bit of the flower missing. I could try to find a flower that would fit there. Kind of piece it together like wallpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and look through here, probably this one, and then I'll just lay that on top of there and then cut the piece out that I need right there. And then just fill it in with, this is where your creativity comes in. And you can just lay some different pieces. You don't necessarily have to stick with it. You can find something different. But I'll probably take this piece right here and kind of cut it out and fill that all in. like so. And I can lay another pink flower over top of that one. Maybe find these little ones right here. And I thought I'd add a little bit of them, cut a little bit of them out and just kind of put them here and there. Fill in where these big flowers are. Break it apart, break it up a little bit. So I'm going to get that all done and pinned on and sewed on, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, I got all the little pieces pinned on, and I'm going to take it to my machine. I got black thread, and if you can see, you can see like the different stitches I've done with. I did squiggly lines and just was like free-handed, like with my machine, just kind of moved my material around like that. And I got a bunch of different little pieces that I kind of collaged together through here. This is one piece, that's a piece, that's a piece, that's a piece. Just little pieces that and I'm going to go stitch that on, like being free and just like moving my machine around. Kind of like a collage. And I got one flower up here, up top here, to cover up this white piece of material up here. This little piece of white up here. So I'll put that on there and stitch that on. Just sitting down at my machine having a little bit of fun. Okay, I got these two butterflies that I'm going to be finishing up, putting the middle, the body part on there. So this one here I got right here. We'll start with that one. And I have this piece of cord. And I was thinking about I'm going to go ahead and just put this right there. And go ahead and cut it and hope for the best. I'm cutting it right about here. And then I'll go ahead and sew that. I'm going to take it to my machine and go stitch it like about 5 times back and forth, and sew that on really fast so that doesn't come undone. So that'll be that one. And then I braided some ribbons and pieces of material, and I braided it, and then I tied it at the top here. So this will be the center for this one right here. And then I'll cut this once I get it on there and see how long I want it. This one here isn't going to have a tail. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that, take it to my machine and sew back and forth. And back and forth on this one too. And I think I'm just going to keep the black thread in there. I was thinking about going back to white, but white pretty much won't show up, and I want some contrast on there. Okay, here's this one right here. I got the center, I used the cord. It started to come undone a little bit, but I used it to my advantage because my machine was having a hard time stitching over. And you can do it a little bit neater than I did. I like the imperfect look. And then at the top, I thought this was nice how it had the top of the tassel type thing. So I'm going to use that as the head. And then I went ahead and I just did some stitches to bring the black into the piece because the black is quite a contrast. So, but this one turned out really cute with the wispy hairs like type things on there. So this one, I like this one the best, I think. And then this one here, I'm going to go ahead and add this to the middle for the body. But I can't really do this on my machine, so I'm going to take my like bright green thread and get a needle and go sit down in front of my TV and kind of stitch this in, hand stitch it. Alright, I'm done with this video, and I ended up getting a little bit carried away with making butterflies. So, I thank you for joining me, but this was my first butterfly, and I ended up just adding a little bit more to it now. I added this purple lace and this white and black polka dotted like piece of material that I just kind of pleated along the way. I added that bumblebee on there. So this is my first one. And then this was my second one. And this is pretty plain. This is like a side view of a butterfly. And then I did the whip stitching, the black embroidery. And this is my third one. This I did more of a collage. I did one piece of material, then I added little pieces. And then we did the yarn body with some on the end. Then this was my fourth one. And this one I had some like rhinestones on a jacket that I just left there, and some wispy hairs and some ribbon here. And I cut one piece out, and then I just collaged different pieces, and I used a cord for the body on this one. And then this one was my last one, and this one was a one piece of material, and then I did collage on it, different pieces of material, and stitched it on. And then I took some ribbon and some material and I made the body. I did a braid with satin ribbon and material, satin material. And then I added a button at the top for the head. And that's how that one turned out. And I have this big face that I enjoyed doing, so I kind of threw this in on, because that was I was working on this in between just to give myself a little break. But I ended up just adding some material for her hair because her head was kind of cut off, and so I had to add something to make this patch look, at least it's a little funky, but I like funky stuff, so it's different and unique. And so I just sewed on different flowers from a jacket. And I did want to tell you that on the purple and black butterfly, I got a bumblebee and this kind of flower, and I got it from just a tea towel. So if you see tea towels or hand towels and they have all the different, a lot of times they have sunflowers on them, you can just pick them up if you get a good deal on them, or pick them up if you like them, and you can cut off the different, like there's a, I just noticed there's a bird here. I mean, there's a lot of different towels, like hand towels and dish towels and spring ones and everything. So yeah, there we go. So that's what I did on this video. I'm going to start making some upcycling clothing on my next ones. I got to get going on some shirts. I know I say that a lot, but I really, really, really got to get going on them. So I thank you so much for joining me. I thank you for subscribing and sticking around with me. And let me know what you're working on. Let me know if I'm inspiring you at all or giving you some ideas. There's so much creativity with everyone. Everyone gets to show off their wonderful talent that the Lord gave them. So I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.